The story of Tanjiro Kamado could have flipped in an instant. All it took was one thing, one word, other known as betrayal. Betrayal is something that many of us question in these animes. So in this what if fanfiction, we'll be diving right into what would happen if Tanjiro was betrayed. What if Tanjiro was sent into a frenzy? What if Tanjiro was put in a situation where he personally felt hopeless? Well, what happened if his sister, right in front of him, died instead of, out of the goodness of his heart, tomioka left him? Tanjiro, after selling the charcoal that he brought down to the village, begins to head up the mountain to his home. But when he heads up, he's stopped by a man, and the man tells him to stay put, that there are demons lurking about. So Tanjiro does just that, staying the night with this man, and in the morning he would tread back up to his own home. But during this tread, he begins to smell something. He begins to smell something vile, smell something horrible. It smells like the blood of his family, the blood of his siblings. Now this is trouble. He runs over to see all of his entire family completely thrashed and completely killed entirely. They're gone forever. Except for one person, Nezuko. Somehow she's stringing on to life, holding on at all will she possibly can, so Tanjiro grabs her and begins running off. But just as he feels that he might be able to get her to safety and get her healed up, it's actually shut down relatively quick when they fall off a small cliff. They land in the snow together, but Nezuko has become a demon. She begins attacking Tanjiro over and over again. Tanjiro cannot do a thing, not one thing at all. He's trying his best to keep up, but unfortunately he can't. Tanjiro eventually breaks free of Nezuko just as someone comes through, swooping in to slice off her head. But unfortunately, at least for this demon slayer, Tanjiro grabs Nezuko and pins her back to the ground, so he misses. Tomioka chastises Tanjiro, telling him that right there is no longer his sister, that is a demon, and that he needs to kill her. Over and over again they argue, leading to Tanjiro pulling out anything he possibly can, trying to show Tomioka that he can put up an effort, and eventually that effort would be shown. But just as Tanjiro feels that maybe he just brought his sister some safety, Tomioka debates. Does he kill her, or does he leave her alive? Even after the display of Nezuko protecting Tanjiro from Tomioka, Tomioka believes that there is only one way to go about it, and that's unfortunately killing Nezuko. But he will not tell Tanjiro about that by any means necessary. Tanjiro eventually wakes up to Tomioka standing right in front of him, and Tomioka remarks that he brought Nezuko to the Hashira mansion, a place that is safe for her and that they can put her under some hypnosis in the meantime. But Tanjiro doesn't know that his baby sister is dead. He doesn't know that Tomioka took it upon himself to kill her and hide her body forever, making sure that there was no trace of her at all. Telling Tanjiro that it's time for him to get training, time for him to figure things out and eventually become a demon slayer, eventually leading to him and his confrontation with Urokodaki. With Nezuko not with him at all, and the thought that the only way to see her again would be to become the strongest demon slayer possible and be able to protect her, let's just say this gives him a slight bit more of motivation than he's ever had before, especially in the original canon. Yes, he was motivated, extremely motivated, and having his sister there may have contributed to it, but my theory is, and obviously my fanfiction, is that Tanjiro would be slightly more motivated at the fact that he can only see his sister again if he gets strong enough. So Tanjiro begins training with Urokodaki, learning faster than usual, and eventually gets trained up enough that he is ready for the final selection. While fighting off Sabito and learning from Makomo, he eventually slices through the boulder, and he's eventually ready to take on the final selection. The final selection would go relatively the same, Tanjiro being a lot more locked in to the fact that he needs to blast through this as quick as possible. He seems more monotone now. He's not as nice, still pretty nice to an extent, but he feels that his last piece of family has been taken away and will stay taken away if he doesn't step up his game and become someone better. So Tanjiro begins to actually improve at a far quicker rate, slicing through demon after demon. And using his water breathing style, he's able to take down the hand demon with relative ease, a lot less struggle than way before. Tanjiro eventually would want to actually find his sister. That's what he needs, and once he gets his crow after the final selection, he immediately asks the crow where his sister is. The crow looks at Tanjiro with a confused look, but doesn't say a word. Do you not respond to me? Hello, crow? Whatever. Tanjiro then picks his oar, and eventually he would get his sword from the swordsmith. It turns black just like normal, a signification basically of someone who will never master a breathing style. But we all know what that black sword truly means. Nonetheless, Tanjiro takes it upon himself to keep pushing forward, takes it upon himself to make sure that he will never lose ground on his race to find his sister. Before he leaves, Urokodaki tells him that he wants to say one last thing to Tanjiro. He contemplates. Should he tell him, the young man that stands before him, the one that he feels is so much like his son? Should he tell him exactly what happened? That Nezuko was forced to be killed? Or does he keep it a secret? But, unfortunately, Urokodaki bites his tongue and wishes him good luck, and says to come visit when he's become the strongest demon slayer possible, and that he will go get his sister. Tanjiro smiles and nods as he takes off, following the crow in the distance. Urokodaki decided not to tell him that his baby sister is already dead, and that he is fighting for a ghost. Nonetheless, Tanjiro would trek on, finding his first village, and eventually slaying that first demon. The swamp demon was practically nothing for Tanjiro. His mastery of water breathing is at a far different level than he would in canon. Being able to push himself to a new brink of more or less power, Tanjiro is far more skilled. But that doesn't mean that these other missions will be some breeze walk, some cakewalk. This was frankly the only one that would be. Tanjiro would continue on to fight through various demons, and eventually would come across the city that never sleeps. He'd come across that city, and he'd smell something odd. He'd smell Muzan. He smells the monster that killed his family. He goes dashing toward him, grabbing his shoulder to see that it is just a man. But as Tanjiro looks at him, Muzan seems to have a different look. A look of confusion. A look of dismay. It seems as if Muzan knows about the death of Nezuko and is disappointed, and Tanjiro says that he will get his revenge for killing his family and turning his little sister into a demon. Muzan shakes his head and tells his family this time around to go on without him, that this kid, he must be confused, that he seems to be out of the ordinary, that he'd help him to the nearest hospital. So his family listens. His wife takes his little girl and takes her off as Muzan turns to Tanjiro. You have no intention of killing me. Frankly, you have no chance anyways. But your sister, I have no link with her. But I know when a demon dies. Your sister is no longer alive, son. Your sister's dead. And I don't mean just a demon. Demons are living. I can promise you that. I'm right in front of you, currently as we speak. But I can promise you, whoever told you that your sister is alive is lying to you, Tanjiro Kamado. Muzan even kind of pities Tanjiro in a way. Maybe he's setting something up. Maybe he believes that he can get under Tanjiro's skin to a certain extent, that maybe he can even sway his side. For some reason, Muzan, this time around, doesn't really think that Tanjiro is a threat, with this idea planted deep and way back into his mind. His visions begin to come blurry. He begins to think he was out cold, but what was happening around him? He heard the shuffles in the snow. He heard the slices. Did Tomioka really kill his sister? He wants answers, and that's what he's going to make sure to get. Tanjiro is relatively enraged, relatively frustrated, pissed off. He heads over basically to the exits, but eventually is stopped by Yushiro and brought in to Lady Tamaya. Speaking with Lady Tamaya, he doesn't even bring up the idea to cure a demon. But nonetheless, Tanjiro is eventually let go and he heads out without any conflict. It seems as if Muzan didn't feel that Tanjiro was a threat and didn't have to send demons his way. While Tanjiro is heading out to that one mansion, he continues walking. And then he remembers something. Remembers the words of his family, his mother, everything. Remembers anything and everything he's ever heard in his life. Is this real? Is he just walking on water at the moment? Is this all a dream? Did he die with them? He wishes so. He doesn't want to carry this burden anymore, but nonetheless, he wants true answers. Tanjiro asks the crow where the Hashira mansion is and where is Giyu Tomioka. Immediately the crow is confused, saying that the Hashira mansion is a place that could be guided relatively easily, and explains exactly where the location is, but the crow sets off saying that he can follow the crow during the sequence. So instead of going to the mansion to fight a demon, he heads off following that said crow. During this journey, he stumbles across relatively a decent amount of demons, minor demons at that though, killing them like it was nothing. Tanjiro has one thing in mind and one thing in mind only. He wants to make sure that his sister is safe, and if it's true that his sister is gone, he doesn't know what he will do. He doesn't know what his body will make him do. So that's exactly where he heads, to the Hashira mansion. And when he arrives and speaks with the Hashira and the Hashira master, it seems as if it's revealed that Nezuko is no longer in the land of the living. Nezuko is dead. But luckily, she would be at peace in that world because she never hurt a human. You never gave her that chance. You never did. She could have chose her own path as a demon. I could feel it. I could feel it. As my sister, I know Nezuko. You didn't give her that option, you killed her. You took the option away. Tanjiro is livid, pissed. The other Hashira say that a demon cannot live in the presence of a demon slayer no matter what. Yes, they may have not killed a human, but they're bound to kill one. That's how demons work. They need food. They need humans. They need blood. Tanjiro is mad, pissed, and begins to storm off. Some of the Hashira stop him, but he pushes them out of his way, saying that he needs some air. He doesn't want to be around them right now. Tanjiro doesn't know what to do. What would Nezuko want for him? What would his family want? Fight demons? Fight alongside people that lied to him? That betrayed him? What was next? What was next? Tanjiro begins to think about this. Why did Muzan go to his place? Why did he approach that family? About a mile away from that place, a mile away from the Hashira mansion, a voice would then talk. There's always a reason why I went there, Tanjiro Kamado. Tanjiro turns and pulls out his sword, and Muzan says that frankly if they fought here, Tanjiro would die. But he'll give him an offer. Give him a small offer, something simple. Some of the Hashira, though, are on the track for Tanjiro, wanting to keep an eye on him. And when they realize who is in front of him, let's just say they'll begin to panic, and they realize how crucial this meeting has now become. They run off and begin to sound the alarms practically, telling everybody that Muzan is in a 1 mile radius of this area. Muzan explains to Tanjiro exactly what occurred, exactly why it happened. He says that a demon can live forever, that his sister could have lived forever, that the goal for us demons is to conquer the sun and conquer decapitation. Unfortunately, his sister was not able to do either. And that doesn't mean that she was not worthy, Tanjiro. That does not mean she wasn't good, wasn't smart, wasn't fast. She didn't have time to develop. They didn't let her. Your sister could have lived forever, Tanjiro. Forever. But she was not given that chance. She was stripped of that almost instantly by the water Hashira. Now, I could give you that chance. Would you like that? You could live forever. Yes, it would be hard without your family. But everyone that betrayed you, you could get back. And you could have overwhelming power forever. Tanjiro stands there in complete and utter shock. What is he supposed to say to this? Is this a gift? A curse? Does he want to see his family again? What would mean more to him currently? Would it be better for him to throw away all his morals and become a demon? What would he want to do? And maybe this is the only way out. He feels that the betrayal of Tomioka, someone he may have not known, but the idea that his master, Urokodaki, didn't say one word. How could he feel? How would he feel about it? He feels cursed, broken, destroyed. The loving Tanjiro within him seems to be depleted, grinded down to almost nothing. But there's always a speck. There's always a speck of Tanjiro, the true Tanjiro within him. But still, that speck would be not enough to accept the deal, or to not accept the deal from Muzan himself. The man that may have killed his family is offering him power, enough power to defeat the people that betrayed him. In the moment Tanjiro accepts, taking the blood of Muzan, and his body begins to basically change, spaz out, and ridiculously change at a rapid rate. Frankly, Tanjiro's power is soaring, stronger than most, if not all, the demons that would once be in front of him, the demons that would fight against them in the near future. Tanjiro is turning into that said demon, and Muzan, instead of fighting the Hashira that were to show up right in front of him, he decides to take Tanjiro away. Tanjiro slowly but surely conforms to becoming a demon, conforms to his demonhood, and eventually Muzan tells him that it's time for him to carry on the bargain that he wants, the idea of defeating anybody and killing anybody that made him feel betrayed. Tanjiro nods and can feel that his sanity is not truly with him, can feel that it's slipping from all of reality. Just as he walks out that door, walks away, he sees flashes of his family standing in front of him, telling him to stop, think about what he's doing, that Tanjiro will always be himself, no matter what. Tanjiro gets this odd sensation over his body, as if he has just cut connections with Muzan himself. He's now gone rogue entirely, and Tanjiro takes off and now is on his own again. Tanjiro doesn't know what to do. Frankly, is it to fight the Hashira? Is it to fight Muzan? Is it to do anything else? He doesn't know. Nonetheless, he's now a demon, but he's also a demon slayer. He kills demon after demon, even sometimes defeating them in one of the most brutal ways you could ever imagine. Tanjiro learns quickly that his power is extremely high for a demon himself, far beyond what a normal human could do. Tanjiro would soon have the sun eventually come out on top of him. But when it did, it seemed as if Tanjiro had full control. Raising his blade to the sky, it's as if that blade was the reason. But we all know that was not the reason for Tanjiro conquering the sun in this matter of time. No, Tanjiro conquered the sun for a whole new other reason, because he was perfect. He was a perfected demon that many wished to be, but many would never truly ever be. Tanjiro realized that now it was time for him to take his visit to the Hashira. He stood outside of the mansion waiting for them to show up, screaming at the top of his lungs for the crows, for the people, for the Hashira. Eventually they'd arrive, asking why he would be there, why he's there, and he says that he wants full answers. That he wants to really know deep down exactly who they are, what type of people they are. He wants to understand, and then he'll tell them why he's here. They begin explaining exactly who they are, but even some of them disagree that there is no point in this. Why would they? Why would they argue with him? There's no reason by any means, as they go, a couple of them go diving forward and slice off Tanjiro's head. But guess what? There is no cutting his head off. Tanjiro has become a perfect demon. His head grows back, and he tells them, there is no killing me anymore. But you could still have me as an ally. At least that's what you probably should hope for. Tanjiro is remarking this at them and explains to them that there may be a way to defeat Muzan, but there's one way he knows that he cannot be defeated, and that's via cutting off his head. He says that the other demons are up to him, to not worry about them. So Tanjiro gets the go-ahead, that the Hashira are ready, and that the Demon Slayers are ready as well. He was once one, on the other hand too, and he says that it'd only be a week from now, and that week will fly by in an instant, but he needs to speak with someone else before that passes. He heads over to Lady Tamaya, speaking with her relatively quickly, and asks if she can make a cure for being a demon, if it's possible. She says of course it is, and that his blood will be perfect for it, especially with what he's at currently. He nods and says that she can take as much blood as possible, that she's probably one of the only people he does currently trust. Frankly, these other people have shown small bits of greed, small bits of wanting things exactly how they are, but they are not ready for the consequences. Tanjiro lets her take as much blood as needed, and says that someone else in the Demon Slayer, and one of the Hashiras, frankly, are extremely good with poisons and potions and other things like that, and concoctions, so they would need to go speak with her. All of the preparations begin. The fight with Muzan is unknown to him as well. Muzan has no clue, but all he knows is that Tanjiro is not reporting back, and soon that would become a fatal mistake for him to overlook. Soon, after a week's time passes, the Demon King, the true Demon King, will rise and will charge in to battle, not protecting the ones that betrayed him, not protecting the one by the name of Giyu Tomioka, but in the name of his own sister. The repercussions of him being betrayed were all felt based on his sister, all put on her. So what is he going to do? He's going to make sure that every demon alive dies on this planet. Make sure that everything is exterminated, and every demon that doesn't want to cooperate with his ideals will no longer be alive on this planet. And it all starts with one after another, and one demon after another demon. Muzan will be last, and Muzan will be the final straw he will slice. The final straw that he will make sure burns to ashes in the sunlight that he conquered not so long ago. Tanjiro Kamado. He's become a demon. He sacrificed all his morals, he sacrificed everything after he was betrayed. But what will he decide? Does he decide to stand by the people that sent him into this frenzy? Stand behind the people that forced him into this situation? He already knows what he wants. But does anybody else know? Frankly, no. They're terrified, petrified. They don't know when Tanjiro will flip the switch, and turn on them. Nonetheless, they'll have to deal with it soon, very soon, because Tanjiro is currently planning and finishing up every last little bit they need, and then he'll begin his assault on every last demon alive. Tanjiro begins scouring everywhere. Anything he needs to do, he gets done, because his assault on the demons he needs to kill is going to be upon him very, very soon. The main demons and the main threats that he sees are 3 of them, and really it's only the top 3 demons if you exclude Muzan from that category for now. It's Kokoshibo, you have Doma, and Akaza. Those are the 3 he wants to take on. So when the Demon Slayers and obviously Tanjiro get ready for the fights, and they lay their siege upon Muzan to at least stall him out with Lady Tamayo, Tanjiro would put it upon himself to make sure that he can take out Kokoshibo, because he knows how deadly Kokoshibo will be. His fight with him will be one for the legends, and their fight happens extremely fast. Tanjiro approaches Kokoshibo, and Kokoshibo mocks him, saying that of course a demon that was once a demon slayer would try to basically man up to him, trying to take his throne as the #1 demon. But Tanjiro shakes his head that that's not what he's out for, and frankly, there is no beating Tanjiro in this scenario. Tanjiro charges forward, clashing with the blade of Kokoshibo, and it seems like he's being overwhelmed. Kokoshibo cannot keep up with Tanjiro. This might seem outlandish, but he is a perfect demon, a perfect fit, and a perfect fighter. Tanjiro begins to lay that assault upon him, and the only thing keeping Kokoshibo alive is the fact that he has some amazing swordsmanship, and also that his flexibility allows him to use various amounts or different versions of moon breathing, allowing him to do a lot of things at once, keeping Tanjiro at bay. But nonetheless, when Tanjiro gets his head cut off, it just grows right back. Tanjiro is perfect. Like he said before, there is no killing him, there is only stalling him, and supposedly he can't die to the sun. Kokoshibo just knows that it's all a stall tactic. It doesn't matter anymore. If he can stall Tanjiro long enough where Muzan can hopefully kill the other demon slayers, maybe, just maybe, Master Muzan can absorb Tanjiro himself. Nonetheless, after a while of more or less just stall, Tanjiro finds that opening thread, slicing right through his neck, and he watches as Kokoshibo tries to struggle and regenerate. But that wall of growing back your head and your neck is too much for him to conquer, and he's not able to conquer it. Tanjiro then heads down to the next demon by the name of Doma. Doma hears that he killed Kokoshibo and, well, is not afraid, but is definitely on guard, using everything in his arsenal to try his best to keep up, but nothing really will put Tanjiro on the defensive. He's just pushing forward with his water breathing and pushing forward with his demonic or demon powers, slicing through every single offensive that Doma has. Shinobu and another demon slayer that Tanjiro actually doesn't know by the name of Kanao was going to step in and help, but it seems like Tanjiro has it handled, and as he slices Doma's head off, it seems as if Shinobu watches on in complete happiness that the killer of her sister has now fallen. Tanjiro heads down one more time to fight Akaza. Yes, they're getting weaker and weaker, but Akaza is a bit different. Akaza wants a good fight, and Tanjiro was able to give him just that. The fight rages on, and Tanjiro basically gives Akaza exactly what he wants, all of his wishes. He's happy. He's happy even if he gets taken out of this world. Tanjiro is able to slice his head off, and this time around, Akaza doesn't even really try to regenerate his head. He knows he lost, and as an honorable warrior, he'll let himself die. And Tanjiro then begins slicing through demon after demon. 4th, 5th strongest, it doesn't matter. They're all far weaker than the ones that he just defeated, and they're frankly nothing compared to them, by all means. Tanjiro slices through all of them, killing all the underlings of Muzan, but they were told that their only goal was to stall Tanjiro, because if they can kill, or if Muzan can kill all of the demon slayers, there might be a chance, maybe a small chance, that Muzan can absorb Tanjiro and take over that power that he's holding. Tanjiro would defeat every single demon that he needed to defeat, and he'd come back up to see Lady Tamiyao completely absorbed and killed, but Muzan not really being fazed too much by the antidote. Tanjiro is finally watching all of this unfold as he begins to walk toward Muzan. Muzan looks at Tanjiro and realizes that he's too late, so words is all he can say. He just wants to try and convince Tanjiro to do anything else other than killing him. Look, they betrayed you. You don't understand. What are you doing? You're fighting with them? They killed your sister. No. Well, they technically did. But we have an antidote now. We could have saved my sister. So in my eyes, Muzan, you killed my sister. Tanjiro goes dashing forward and slices into the arm of Muzan. But Muzan is far, far stronger than any demon that he's faced so far. And he can tell that. He tries to use every last bit of strength Tanjiro has to basically overcome this threat. The strength he has is infinite by all means, because he has infinite stamina. So Tanjiro is able to keep up to a certain extent, but he begins to actually surpass far more than just that. It seems as if his blade begins to turn into a flame. The sun breathing style has now been unlocked for Tanjiro, and he begins slicing through Muzan. Slicing through him, but it seems as if Muzan cannot die unless he is shown direct correlation with the sun. The sun is the only thing that can kill him. Tanjiro is informed of this, and all he needs to do is stall him. Tanjiro, with infinite stamina, continues to batter Muzan to make sure that he stays exactly where he is. But Muzan shakes his head, saying that if he's going to die here, he's going to make sure the rest of them die as well. He tries to attack one of the Hashira, but luckily Tanjiro is able to get them out of harm's way and continue his assault on Muzan, tackling him to the ground and keeping him still as the sun is arising after 1 hour of fighting. Tanjiro looks up to see the sun slowly but surely creeping up and slowly but surely burning Muzan. But Muzan begins to turn into this giant baby-like creature. He's trying to preserve himself, get away, but Tanjiro refuses to let him, but it seems like this was sort of a trap in a way. Tanjiro gets too close and he begins to get absorbed by Muzan himself. Getting absorbed by Muzan puts him in a situation where Muzan might be able to take over entirely and preserve himself within Tanjiro, and now becoming something else, something with an agenda far different than Tanjiro, but also basically invincible, unable to die to the sun, unable to die by getting his head cut off. Muzan will be invincible. It would be that simple. But Tanjiro wants to fight. During this sequence and during him being trapped in this giant person, this giant baby-like creature, he begins to see his family. He begins to see everything that he's been fighting for. He hasn't killed a human. He hasn't killed anyone. He's only fought demons. He felt deep down inside that maybe one day he would be able to see his sister again. He's not sure. He will never be sure. But what's that say? What's to say that he could? Just maybe. Maybe there's an antidote out there that would work on him. Maybe the antidote they have won't. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It doesn't matter to him. He wants to make sure that he can see his sister again. The people that betrayed him aren't worth losing basically all of that in the afterlife. At least that's what he believes. He struggles through the entirety of this process. Getting absorbed by Muzan and counteracting it is no easy deal, but he's able to pull himself up, pull himself out based on all the people around him. Well, all the people, at least sort of around him. His family in front of him is the only thing that's willing him out of his body, and eventually he breaks free as Muzan deteriorates and dies in an instant. Tanjiro, panting. He's tired for some reason, but then his demon cells kick right back in, and he's no longer tired. He stands up, looks at the sun, staring at it, and he can feel the rays of the sun not doing one thing. It seems that he is truly invincible and there is no killing him. But just as he turns, the Hashira grip their swords as if they're ready to fight him as well. Even after all this, you see me as that big of a threat. You all are really something. Maybe in a whole another universe, you would have realized that someone like me helped you, made everything okay, made it so that you all can live a happy life. But it still seems to me that your morals are cracked. I don't know who made you like this or what happened, but I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were made like this. I'm sorry that it happened like this. Tanjiro then leaves. Yeah, he leaves. It took everything in his willpower not to sit there and kill those people, kill them, end their miserable lives right in front of him. But he knew that even if he couldn't see his family again, he wouldn't die of old age. He knew his family would not want him to do those things, would not want him to cut down those people that betrayed him. So he didn't. Tanjiro didn't. And he'd live on forever, seeing generation after generation. He'd actually eventually be able to manipulate his body so he'd look very similar to a regular human. And he'd live on his life as well. He'd continue on, meet some new people, but he'd watch them die. Just like that. It was so odd for Tanjiro. But he found his calling eventually. He might be a demon. And there are people that want to live forever. And he would give them that opportunity, telling them that there are ground rules and there are mistakes to be made, but there is one thing you never do, and that is touch humans. You never kill them, you never hurt them. And if they do, if they do, Tanjiro will be after them. He's only looking to help people preserve their lives if they want to do that. But obviously they would know the repercussions for doing so. So let's just say not many people have chosen that path. But if you have, and maybe they're going to be good for the future. Maybe they can be their own little kind of guardian angels. Ironic. Tanjiro himself would be a demon, something that would supposed to ruin the lives of humans, but he would end up being the guardian angel for many of them. And all it took was for him to get betrayed. And that is a wrap for this What If. I know it's short. I always say this, Tanjiro What Ifs are normally pretty short, especially ones that don't go through the normal arcs. I just feel like it doesn't make sense to draw things out that don't need to be drawn out. I think some of you agree with me on that. Some of you are like, we'll put more story into it, fudge it, whatever. But that's just kind of how I do. So, sometimes I'll do that, sometimes I don't. I try to give the best of both worlds sometimes. Nonetheless, hope you all enjoyed. Like I said in the beginning, the titles are going to change a bit. Don't be alarmed by that. I just want to try stuff out. It's part of YouTube, part of doing this. You'll be seeing me do that a lot. I have other channels. Check out in the links in the description below. I also have a Spotify. Check that out. Nonetheless, hope all y'all enjoyed. Hope all y'all have an amazing day. And yeah, peace.